trenches. Ask a nigga what he benching. Triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention. Whole hard in the trenches. Ask a nigga what he benches. Triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention. Don't forget I got memories, dead stain the whole room if I let him bleed. Shit was dark, I let this little light
straight into it and start with the 4 W's. The 4 W's is going to begin with the who. And the first one we had, Felix, for you is who is that one player that had their stock dropped by the performance of someone else on the team? And before you go, I'll go ahead and read off a couple from the people who answered the questions and hand it to you afterwards. Martin Collison, LUFC _Arizona on Twitter. He said Lamar Miller by Jared Patterson. And then Cole Killer was going on, boss. He said Steve Sims. He was on shaky grounds regardless, but he thinks that DeAndre Carter is just a better player. So he thinks that Steven Sims was the person who had his stock dropped by DeAndre Carter. So I'll hand it over to you and let me know what you think about with that one.
Miller is absolutely correct. Miller was brought in more to push Barber, and they were hoping Patterson would be good. Patterson came in and was a stud, and Barber actually slimmed down a little bit. I don't know. I don't think you could tell on Thursday night. But Barber's actually a little bit slimmer than where he was. Okay. He's showing a little bit more burst. So once that was determined, Miller was running only third team. He was not running first team with Gibson and McKissick. Patterson was getting second team carries and Barber. So at that point, you're fifth. And they saw the writing on the wall. So they cut him early to let him try to land somewhere else. So they did him a veteran solid. I will disagree on Steven Sims. Steven Sims has had a top 3 camp on the team. I'm going to say that again. On the team, he's had a top 3 camp. DeAndre Carter is going to take the returner spot. That is pretty much kind of locked in. You can see that first return team, he was the one out there. He's actually shown some good receiver skills as well.
Okay.
But
that's what I was concerned about with the receiving side.
He actually is pretty solid as a receiver. He's bigger than you think, too. He's not 6'2", 6'3", but he's a solid 5'11" with long arms. And he actually has receiver potential as well. Where Steven Sims wins is he's one of the few on the offense that knows all 3 positions, the X, the Y, and the Z. So Humphries will be your starting slot. But if something happens to Humphries, that will be Sims in the slot. And then Sims can run outside, too. We don't have many receivers that run all 3 positions. AGG is mostly a Y. He's outside. Same with Cam Sims. Same with
But Cam is capable of playing in slot though. He's had his opportunities. I don't know,
he can. They probably don't want him there.
Okay.
But he can't. But Sims knows all 3. So I would disagree on that. I think Sims and Carter are both going to make the roster, in my opinion. And that's going to leave AGG kind of in the win. And that's going to be hard. It's essentially Cam Sims and AGG. That's your battle for the last spot right now.
Hey, well, you know how I feel about Cam. Like we talked about it for a split second, man. Like, again, I don't think Cam is anything special. We agree on that. I think that the thing with Cam is they trust him more than they would trust any of the other bottom end of the guys who are competing. That includes Steve Sims. But I think what I also don't take into account is something that you literally just said, which is Steve Sims is having a top 3 camp out of everybody on the team, which is eye opener for anybody that's at his position as well. So again, it's always been about competition, and I think the biggest thing that you just talked about is like there's nobody outside of the top 4 really who's guaranteed a spot. But if he's having a top 3 camp, I take that into perspective, and I respect your opinion, and I would say that if that's the case, then he's clearly in the lead. According to what you're saying, he's in the lead outside of all the other guys, including Cam Sims. So
the reason I'm saying that, and if people harp on his return aspect, they're like, he muffs kicks, he can't return kicks. If you go back and watch the film last season, he was routinely getting open. We had such subpar quarterback play that he would never see the ball, but he was open. Mm-hmm. And if you Go back and look at the Tampa Bay playoff game. That touchdown he runs. Very few people are going to make that route in that catch. He can do that. So the thing with AGG, well, the thing with Cam Sims, we've had our disagreement with Cam Sims. Cam Sims is now your big receiver, and he caught a jump ball one today, being the big receiver. Outside of that, there's nothing on that core that he does better than anyone else. He's not a better route runner than anyone else. He's not faster than anyone else. He's not shiftier than anyone else. He doesn't have better hands than anyone else. So it becomes a thing where Cam Sims is really liked and he's really trusted. But if we're going talent for talent, his receiver talent is below those guys. And that's not a knock on Cam. He's an excellent dude. He's worked hard to get where he is.
Be honest. That's your opinion. Absolutely.
But it's just where that talent level has gotten to in that wide receiver room. Because those four at the top, I mean, with Terry, Samuels, Humphreys, and Brown, are just light years ahead.
Absolutely. And Cole. Oh my goodness, Darius. So one of my boys just hopped in the chat, saying that he's a Philly fan for context, so he has no idea about the Washington football community. He hopped in and said no cap, he thought you was Dr. Umar for a second. So he thought I was over here talking to Dr. Umar.
God. Man, I gotta slim down to something.
Hey, look, man, Dr.
I would
Umar.
took Rick Ross, Ice Cube,
Look, all you gotta do, man, you gotta say a couple lines, you know what I'm saying, and you may pass for Dr. Umar. And no weight thing, it's all about the facial expressions, man. That's all. but no. So Cole mentioned he felt like AGG seems like a bust of a pick. And the things that you were describing, because I don't know where he typed this, what point he typed this in, but he's saying the things that you were describing seems like it's a lot. Asking from a guy who's coming from Liberty.
I think with him, it was a mix of a lot of things. A, coming from Liberty, the small school. B, the pandemic, he didn't have a real training camp. C, he got hurt early in the whatever training camp they had last year. He never got healthy. So now he actually looks better. He looks more explosive, but he's behind where those others are. So does he get the leniency because they did draft him? Do you give him extra time to work? And it might come down to who they think will pass through waivers and they can get back. Because if they believe that AGG can fall through waivers and they get him back, they'll do that. Versus a Sims where somebody might snatch him, or either one of the Sims, or even a DeAndre Carter, because Carter's putting a lot of good film out there where if you send him out, he may not make it through waivers. So that becomes a discussion. Well, I think AGG can make it through waivers, so let's waive him and bring him back practice squad.
Okay. So we're gonna go to the what?
Whole hard in the trenches, ask a nigga what he benching, triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention. Whole hard in the trenches, ask a nigga.